I'm standing back here again in front of 10 Downing Street, and this place is important. Now, very quickly, Cameron took his sovereignty for granted, and he thought the British people would never ever vote to leave the European Union. He did not understand the grassroots people's thinking. And the grassroots people's thinking was that they did not want to be ruled by foreign powers. And so they voted to take their sovereignty back through that referendum. And that shocked the British, that shocked the leadership here, because they realised then that the people, the leadership of Great Britain's politicians and hierarchy was out of touch with the thinking of the population. And the population wanted their sovereignty back, they wanted independence, they didn't want foreigners to make powers. And so as a fallout of all this, it's quite significant, because now they've lost a Prime Minister and they're all upheaval about who's going to lead the country and take them forward, because not any one of them have an idea about independent Britain. Secondly, Ireland and Scotland chose to stay with the European Union, but the British outvoted them. 17.8 million or thereabouts against for getting out, and 14.3 or 6 million to stay in. So the overwhelming majority wasn't that significant, but it was significant enough to show that the majority wanted to go out, even though it was by only about 3 million. So it's quite significant that there has brought down a Prime Minister, it brought down a government. It's also now bringing down the breakup of Great Britain, because the Welsh, the Irish, Northern Ireland and Scotland voted to stay inside the European Union against the wishes of the people of Britain. So now these countries are now looking at taking referendums whether they stay as part of Great Britain or whether they now break up and become independent nation states in their own right. And if that happens, there will be no more United Kingdom. It will just be Britain sitting by itself. And the only countries who will be supporting it are people like Mauritius, places like Canada, places like New Zealand, and the South Pacific and some of the Caribbean islands, because we are all part of the British system by virtue of the fact that our constitution is an act of this parliament that belongs here. And so to a large degree, if you look at Australia, Australia does not have in its constitution a Prime Minister per se, they have ministers of state. This 10 Downing Street Prime Minister should be the Prime Minister of Australia according to our constitution. There could be a First Minister, as they have in Scotland, as they have in Northern Ireland and in a lot of other places, but there is no constitutional executive right to have a Prime Minister in Australia. So those who are voting today on this day, I'm standing here in London looking at how the British wanted to break their country up, and it's going to be broken up. This is the downfall now, the end of this British Empire. And we, as Aboriginal people, asserting our sovereignty the same way Scottish, Irish, the Welsh, it's our turn now to assert our way. Why do we need to become part of a system that is cracking and breaking?